Boruto 2 Blue Vortex has started off with a bang. So many insane revelations, crazy character redesigns, new world busting powers, new villains, and the list just keeps going on and on and on. However, with Boruto's formal arrest and his up and coming court trial, I feel as though we are moving into a slightly slower and information filled part of the story. So in this video, I want to discuss what I think is going to get covered in the next couple of chapters as we move into a different era of Boruto's time skip. Also, I would love to know your guys' predictions for the coming chapters, so make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Alrighty, so kicking these predictions off, I think soon enough we are going to see Damon reintroduced into the story on a much larger scale than we have seen before. Previously, Damon has only gotten a few panels, and we really aren't getting much surrounding how he's changed during the time skip, and more importantly, how strong this guy has become. If we go back to part 1 of Boruto, we can see that Damon was an absolute menace. The little kid was taking everybody's lunch money on a regular, all at the measly age of 10. But a big statement that leads me to believe that Damon will be coming back sooner rather than later is because in the final chapter of Boruto Part 1, Damon told Boruto to train hard so that he will actually have to fight at full strength for the first time, meaning that Damon was putting everyone in a spliff and smoking it all at once without even using his full powers. Damon no-diffed code without limiters, similar to what Boruto did, meaning I think especially if Damon has been training, this will be a good way to scale Boruto and Damon and see who truly has become the number one. So with Boruto's reintroduction to Konoha, which I will discuss a bit later in the video, Boruto and Damon will be having that 1v1, especially since Ada also wanted to have a conversation with Boruto, which suggests maybe this will all come in the same chapter. And make sure you watch until the end because I'm going to discuss exactly how Boruto returning to Konoha actually makes sense. Anyways, what I just said moves me on to my next point, which is the conversation that Ada wants to have with Boruto. In chapter 8 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, Ada said to Mitsuki that she wants to have a long conversation with Boruto. Now this statement came from Ada after talking to Mitsuki about love, and the way she feels towards Kawaki, as well as the false love that Mitsuki feels as a result of Ada's charm ability. Now I don't want to jump to any conclusions here, but I don't know about you, but it sounds like Ada is about to give Boruto access to that premium OnlyFans that was previously only reserved for Kawaki's eyes, if you know what I'm saying. This conversation can likely go one of two ways. Either Ada is actually fallen for Boruto, which I will discuss in a second, or maybe she just has a plan to override omnipotence, and finally maybe she just wants to have a chat with Boruto about what's happened in his life. So Ada did say that she will not use her Senrigan on Boruto during that 3-year time skip, but whether that means she just won't share the information and is still using her Senrigan is still a very valid option, meaning Ada will have seen Boruto grow if she did use it, in not just his power but also his maturity. And the hint of Ada starting to fall for Boruto goes as far back as chapter 63, when Boruto punches Kawaki in order to try and knock some sense into him before taking on code. Ada kind of geeks out and is like, "Oh Boruto-kun, that's so hot," and she starts to blush. And believe it or not, this is not the only time we have seen this behaviour from Ada. However, in chapter 76, when Boruto suggests to Ada that she might like him due to him not being affected by her charm, Ada was quick to shut this down, calling Boruto too young. However, perhaps she is just trying to suppress his emotion, since whenever she lets her irrational impulse emotions do the talking, we can see her actually slightly falling for Boruto. So the seeds are definitely there, and they are definitely being followed up after the time skip, as we see Ada blushing a few times when looking at Boruto. And maybe, just maybe, the age gap is no longer a concern of hers, as she can see that Boruto has now become a lot more mature. And realistically, unless Ada has some weird kink of being degraded, why on earth would she pick Kawaki over Boruto? It just makes no sense. So yeah, those first 2 points kind of go hand in hand. Ada and Boruto can have their chat either before or after Boruto and Damon have their spar, which I think even if Boruto doesn't return to Konoha can still happen behind closed doors. Anyways, next up I want to cover the immediate ramifications of Boruto getting caught by Konoha. Straight away, we are likely going to see that Boruto gets interrogated about certain things that obviously Konoha would have not known up to this point. Things such as, where's Sasuke? Who is your informant? What happened to Naruto? And where have you been? All of these questions will be asked in a similar format to what Konoha normally do and what we saw when Naruto was grilling Amado, where everyone just kind of watches Boruto get grilled in this weird room. But I think the more important takeaway here is how Boruto is going to react to answering these questions. Will he answer them truthfully? Will he withhold some information, or will he just straight up ignore them? Since so far, Boruto has been very reluctant to give out any information to anyone, even if he trusts that individual. I think it's hard to tell what mindset Boruto will go into this interrogation with, so let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, beyond this formal interrogation from Konoha, I think Boruto and Kawaki will also have a genuine conversation. Kawaki is not in an immediate rush to try and kill Boruto, and I think that is slightly mistaken from people, as they see Kawaki rushing towards Boruto's location, but I don't think he's trying to kill Boruto, and rather just detain him. This kind of implies that maybe Kawaki wants to seal Boruto away, rather than just flat out killing him, which would also align with what Kawaki said in the flash forward sequence about sending Boruto to where he sent Lord Seventh. So these two will likely have a conversation that doesn't come with a huge fight, like many people would have expected. And I think in this conversation, Kawaki will tell Boruto his plan to seal him away. But on the other hand, Boruto will try to reason with Kawaki and say that if he does that, then their world will inevitably be destroyed. And I also think in this conversation, maybe the subject of the karma will appear, as Kawaki seemed extremely surprised in chapter 9 about Boruto not having mastered his karma yet. So this could eventually lead to an explanation on why Boruto is so hesitant to use his karma, and could set up for future situations where Boruto sees these flashbacks in order to calm the fear of this power. As a likely scenario is, Boruto will need to rely on his karma in order to grow stronger than the threat of someone like Jura, for example, or any future Shinju. Another point which comes along with Boruto getting arrested is whether Boruto will return to Konoha or will be forced to run away, maybe due to his execution. And I have a theory that kind of involves both of them. So after this interrogation, Boruto would likely tell Konoha at the bare minimum that the Shinju are going to be a huge threat to them and they need to work together in order to defeat them, causing Konoha to be forced into a temporary coalition with Boruto in order to defeat the Shinju. Because if they don't, Boruto will warn them that Konoha will be destroyed. However, it will likely be made clear that once this coalition is over, Boruto will become an enemy of Konoha again. So I think that we will see a partnership likely the same as what happened to Sasuke during the 4th Great Ninja War, where he worked alongside the Konoha 11 to help defeat Obito and Madara, but was still an enemy of Konoha, and all of them made that clear to him. So maybe during this period, Boruto will not be hunted down by Konoha and will be allowed temporary stay while they plan their counterattack against the Shinju. And this also provides Boruto with time to continue training on enhancing his control over the karma, since he will be surrounded by strong people who can control Boroshiki. And the reason he couldn't previously do this is because Kashin Koji likely wasn't strong enough to suppress Momoshiki if he took over Boruto's body. And it makes sense to have someone like Damon work alongside Boruto, as there is a chance Damon could control Momoshiki if he were to take over, and it would work perfectly for Boruto to slowly work on becoming stronger, and it also gives Damon a bit more purpose since previously he didn't really have one, besides being the strongest. Also, with Boruto's karma, if it becomes a big topic of focus, it would be nice to see perhaps a flashback to an incident that might have occurred, and hopefully we will get to see why Boruto is so scared of his karma manifesting. It would be the perfect time to do something like that, and it would develop Boruto's character a lot, and we will see him being forced to overcome that mental scar that he may have gotten from his training. So yeah, it will be very interesting to see something like that. And it could also parallel what happened with Naruto when he went four-tailed mode when training with Jiraiya, and he gave Jiraiya that massive scar on his chest. Since we have seen the writers making several parallels between how Boruto and Naruto were trained, with both of them having the burden of a powerful, uncontrollable entity which could take over their body at any time if they're not careful. Anyways, next up, I want to talk about Amado, as I think this guy will have a huge role to play in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. So let's go back to before the time skip, where we saw Amado was in complete despair at the thought of Kawaki getting killed by Naruto and Shikamaru for backstabbing Konoha and trying to kill Boruto. And this was because Kawaki's karma was the key to bringing back his daughter. However, we see Amado not even bat an eyelid, or at least his reaction, to Boruto going missing or Konoha trying to kill Boruto. Amado just seems to not care whatsoever. And this is extremely weird, as I doubt Amado has given up his life goal to revive his daughter, and it makes me wonder, is he truly affected by Ada's charm? I think that Amado knows that if he shows to the world that he knows Kawaki has the karma he needs to carry out his plan, then Ada will know that he's not affected by her charm ability, and Damon will likely try and kill Amado, as Damon wants to protect his sister, and if anybody is capable of bypassing this omnipotence ability, they hold the facilities to be able to kill her, meaning that Amado knows this and isn't revealing that he knows Boruto is not Kawaki, because if he actually thought Boruto was Kawaki, I think he'd be taking many more measures in order to recapture Boruto, and he will either talk to Boruto about what he knows in a similar way to what Shikamaru did, but if he doesn't eagerly try and reach Boruto, it is clear that he was never affected by omnipotence, which could potentially be played on as a major plot point later in the story. So that is definitely something to look out for in the future. Now, I'm super intrigued to see the rise in importance of the quote-unquote side characters of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. So people like Metal Lee, Chocho, also some OG Naruto characters, we are hopefully going to see all of them make a huge return. Since we have already seen Sakura in the early chapter 14 spoilers, which is literally more than we have seen of her in the entirety of the last 40 chapters of Boruto Part 1. And so far in 2 Blue Vortex, the coverage and setup for the importance of these characters has already been far greater than in the entirety of Part 1, or at least the latter part of Boruto pre-timeskip. For example, Jura stated that the Inashika Cho combo is extremely effective, and it's just a shame that they lack the pure strength in order to beat him, which is an extremely high praise for these guys, since previously we just kind of ignored their strength and assumed that they were all fodder. But the writers are clearly showing us that we shouldn't be sleeping on these guys' strength. And I think the thing we have seen post timeskip, which has 100% solidified the fact that we're going to see these side characters have a huge role, is the Shinju. So the Shinju originate from a vessel who was turned into a tree, and the only way to turn that person back is to kill the Shinju and retrieve the Thorn Soul. This idea, alongside the clear varying powers of the Shinju, provides a perfect platform for lesser characters like all of the kids of the Konoha 11 to have a meaningful and impactful fight, to showcase their growth in strength, while still having people like Boruto allowed to have their world-busting fights, but perhaps with the karma and the claw mark's abilities to teleport about. When Boruto is fighting stronger Shinju like Jura or Hidari, he is unable to interfere with the lesser Shinju, meaning he can't just go about one-tapping them, which means that the side characters, like I said, will still get their full fights. Also, having the Shinju resemble the person's abilities and appearance will create a huge mental barrier for many characters, like Konohamaru with Matsuri. I think we can tell that this will serve as a huge mental nerf for Konohamaru, that he will likely need to overcome in order to beat the Shinju of Matsuri. And the same will likely go for all of the future Shinju and their targets. And that is likely the reason why the writers have given them specific targets, which isn't just Boruto or Kawaki, just since he is an Otsutsuki, as it is clear setup that the lesser characters are going to fight their own Shinju, if that whole scenario kind of makes sense to you guys. Anyways, finally, like I said earlier, Konoha are likely going to prepare to fight the Shinju to not only protect their world, but also to restore the people that were turned into trees. This means that there will likely be a plan, and perhaps we will see the 5th Great Shinobi War, where it is all the villages versus the Shinju, and that is why we see Boruto versus Kawaki in a destroyed Konoha. Since once they defeat all the Shinju, similar to what happened with Naruto and Sasuke after they defeated Kaguya, once all the battle is over, they will still have some beef to settle. And the battle will likely be the same as what happened with Naruto versus Sasuke, where Naruto wanted to knock some sense into Sasuke, and here Boruto just wants to knock some sense into Kawaki. But with this whole plot of the Shinju, it is very clear that the Great Shinobi Nations must prepare for an all-out attack from them. I think the most likely scenario here is for the next 10 to 20 chapters, we will see the Shinju multiply and also scheme their attack on the entire world. And my final prediction for what is to come is the point of view of Code. I don't know how they're going to do it, but the likelihood is we will see Code in some format doing his own thing, and I do wonder which side he will be fighting for. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Anyways, with that all said, that is going to be a wrap on today's video. So if you did enjoy, then please consider liking the video so it can get pushed out to more people. Also, please make sure to comment your ideas and theories for what might come in Boruto's future. as I'm extremely intrigued to find out what you guys think will happen in the future. And if you want to see more videos like this, where I cover more of the top current manga, and definitely more manga to come in the future, please consider subscribing as it helps out the channel massively. Anyways, with that all said, I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.